One of the problems, frankly, in Canada is that we have not intellectually considered how and why we've become the cutting edge and the most successful immigrants citizenship society in the world. And I mean, I say that, I don't say that often, but it's an area where we've made a lot of mistakes and we're making some now. But, you know, this is an incredibly interesting story, and we've never sat back and said, okay, what are we doing and why does it work? I mean, it isn't just and you hear a lot of people say things like, you know, oh, those poor things, isn't it wonderful they were able to get out of that war-torn country, or aren't they lucky to come here, and or don't they work hard, and all that sort of stuff. And without realizing that A, it's patronizing, and B, they're missing really the key point. And the key point is that nobody wants to leave their country, no matter how bad the situation. And that, you know, as I said last night, if you're looking at the characteristics, in this case of innovation, is what we're talking about here, but you could say the characteristics of a strong citizen, their consciousness, their some level of courage, because it takes some courage to be an engaged citizen, and the ability to make choices, to speak about and make choices. And immigrants and refugees, whatever their background, even if they came as millionaires, but they all had to make big choices to come here. It took either a great deal of courage or some courage, and they know about choice, they know about being conscious, they know about doing things, they know about action. Listen, these are people who proved their capacity to be citizens by the time they arrive, and that is the real value, not, you know, are they earning their way versus what they cost, which is the utilitarian sort of number crunches way of looking at it, because they're really missing the point of how it affects the society. So the reason I talked about it was everybody had been talking about technical innovation, but what they forget is that machines are actually invented by human beings, and so it's really human innovation that you're talking about, and only secondarily and tertiarily technical innovation. And so you really want to say, well, gosh, there's this incredible social innovation, which is realizing that these are not migrants, they're immigrants, and this is a noble term, and this is a term which leads within 5 years to citizenship, and that it brings something very, very rich and powerful to citizenship in Canada, and that really one of the explanations for what's good about the country is this constant renewing of the conscious, choice-experienced, courageous new arrivals. And frankly, I didn't even say this last night, but you know, if things like BlackBerry happen in Canada, if so many of the technical communications innovations have happened in Canada, it really is part of a long tradition, which you go back and you find McLuhan, you find the Toronto School of Philosophy, McLuhan, Fry, and Glenn Gould, and of course Harold Innis. Harold Innis starts it with the bias of communication, and the bias of communication comes out of his history of the fur trade. Why does it come out of the history of the fur trade? Because, you know, he had this completely fabulous mind. So he probably couldn't even explain why he was doing what he was doing, but somehow out of his examination of the fur trade, he understood that there was a spatial idea, a non-linear and spatial idea of communication at the heart of what Canada was, which came out of Aboriginal traditions. So actually you can argue, rather facilely, but you can argue that, you know, that BlackBerry and McLuhan are the direct product of spatial Aboriginal ideas. It's as good a philosophical argument as Europeans trying to link themselves to Athens.